Welcome to A Veteran's Voice. I'm Noga Kessler, Veterans Voices Correspondent, and today we have with us a very, very special treat. We have Miss Ethel Spencer. She served in the United States Marine Corps from 1943 to 1946. Welcome, Ms. Spencer. Welcome.
Thank you.
So maybe we can begin today with sharing how you came about to join the Marine Corps in the 1940s.
Well, it was, I was in Los Angeles and I went by the recruitment station for the Marine Corps. And I went in and talked a little bit and then I was sworn in. And it was just the spur of the moment.
What year was that, ma'am?
1943.
1943, yeah.
And then I wasn't actually called to duty until February of 44. Had orders. And in the meantime, I had gone back to Iowa and they sent my orders there. And then on February 6th, I had orders to be in Camp Lejeune, North Carolina for boot camp. And after boot camp, we went through motor transport school and then got orders for Marine Corps base in San Diego, California. And that was really a blessing. And we went across, they took us across by rail at that time in old cattle cars that were fixed up with bunks 3 high. That was for transporting troops at that time. And then, of course, I got to San Diego and we were issued uniforms and orientation and so on. And then it was just a few days, or maybe two days. And then we started driving wherever they wanted us, to drive. We drove all kinds of Marine Corps vehicles. And at that time, there were about 100 women Marine drivers on the base. Only 4 men driving. We drove all kinds of vehicles. Transporting troops, transporting sea bags, transporting food from the commissary to other bases, and so on. And there were two barracks. Each barracks had 4 squadrons, and there was, I think, about 80 people to a squadron. Well, those 2 barracks were full of Lady Marines. And a couple of the times that I remember distinctly was when our President Roosevelt died. I mean, it was very tense. I mean, it was just like a hush went over the whole base. It was, we depended on him so much. And he was very well respected. And of course, we didn't hear much news actually on the base. There weren't, of course, TVs and there wasn't radios and newspapers hardly ever saw. But when we went to the movies, it was a nice base and they got good movies. They'd have about a 5-minute time for the news. And that was about the only time we would get it. But we just took orders for what they wanted us to do there, and it was interesting. I really enjoyed it.
Were you in contact with units that had served abroad during the war and then came back? Or did any of them come through where you were stationed? Yeah.
With driving, I mean, we would be in contact with the male Marines at that time. And we'd sometimes meet them at the ship and sometimes take them to a Navy hospital if there wasn't anything that needed an ambulance. We took them for they would have us take them to different buildings, before they were discharged. And of course, they all had sea bags, and it was very interesting because some of those had been over there a long time, and without any R&R, which they called rest and recreation. But yes, we were in contact with a lot of them.
And what would you say was your most memorable experience during that time? I'm sure there's a number of them, but really that just kind of stands out and that you think about perhaps.
When the war was over in August of 45, I went to pick up a load of Marines that were going to sea school at the coast. They'd go over for the day and come back, and I went to pick them up. And at that time, I knew the war was over. And so coming back, they were all hollering to stop whenever we went by a bar. They all to get out. They'd holler to stop, and they'd beat on the top of the pickup or the truck top. But I couldn't stop because I would have been in trouble. I mean, they were recruits and they didn't have liberty or anything. So they got taken to the base where they were supposed to be.
Yeah.
But I remember that distinctly.
But you remember the just the joy in the air and everybody excited. Yeah. Yeah. So
go ahead.
So after 1946, maybe you could share a little bit after you left the military, Marine Corps, how was that for you? The transition, let's say, out of that, environment.
Well, it wasn't too hard because I met him. He wasn't my husband at the time, but I mean, I met him in the Marine Corps, and I was out in June. We were married, and I was out in the Marine Corps. So then we still followed the Marine Corps because he stayed in and retired, and we went from coast to coast, and we had 2 children, and it was. I always liked the Marine Corps, and he did too, and it was nice.
Yeah. So from a Marine, and you're always a Marine, but from a Marine to also a Marine Corps wife, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
I did go to work after the children were in school. At the San Diego Fire Department. I worked there as a payroll clerk or as a clerk for the firemen. And then they offered me a job with setting up, paying for the firemen, making their own insurance. So I took that. So all total, I think it was 27 years, maybe, between the two. They were really nice people.
You have a heart for service. You go from Marine to firefighter. Yeah,
that's right.
It's wonderful.
And then I retired in 1962. My husband retired too. I would have stayed longer, but he was anxious to move on. We'd always moved so much that it was just in his lifestyle to want to, enjoy the retirement.
So how did you enjoy the retirement?
Oh, we went from Arizona to California, I guess, to Iowa. We moved a lot. We moved back to Iowa to be with my mother, who was getting, she was over 100, and she lived to be 103 plus. So my dad lived to be 99, and so we were with them.
Well, I would love to share with our viewers how old you're going to be on August 1st, ma'am. How old will you be on August 1st?
August 25th.
Oh, 25th. I'm sorry. August 25th. How old will you be?
I will be 100.
Yes, ma'am. It's incredible.
I have to tell you, when at that time when the war was going on, and you'd get a letter from him, everything was censored. Mm-hmm. And a letter from him would have words that might have indicated where he was stationed, cut out like a razor blade. The whole letter would be like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you never really knew where. You couldn't tell. He couldn't. But now it's so much different.
Yeah. Absolutely. Wow. Yeah.
It was actually coming out of the Depression, and too, where that made a difference. But
you are absolutely a treasure, and we're so happy to be able to hear a little bit of your story and to have you come on and share it with us. And is there perhaps another thing or two that you'd like to share with us as a female Marine in the 1940s, ma'am?
Time goes fast.
Yes.
And I certainly enjoyed the Marine Corps. I mean, it did a lot for people.
Yeah.
It was respect and discipline and helping one another, and it was a good life. We had good shout too.
Really? Oh my goodness. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.